People say boredom is harmless. That it's a quiet, empty space where nothing dangerous happens. But boredom is a liar. It whispers. It tempts. It convinces you that the life you built isn't enough, that the person who loves you has somehow stopped seeing you, even when they haven't missed a single detail. I was living that lie without knowing it. 12 years into a peaceful, stable marriage, I had everything people pray for. A calm home, a man who loved me gently and consistently, and a life without chaos. A 4-bedroom house with a pool, laughter in the mornings, soft routines at night. Predictable, safe, steady. But inside me, a slow poison was growing. Not anger. Not hatred. Just dissatisfaction. A restlessness I didn't understand. The kind that makes you misinterpret comfort as imprisonment. And that restlessness led me to the decision that destroyed my entire life. I didn't lose everything overnight. It happened the way glass cracks, quietly at first, until the whole surface shatters. This is not a story about love. It's not even a story about cheating. It's a story about the one emotion no one ever warns you about, boredom, and the ruin it can cause when you mistake it for emptiness. For 12 years, my life felt like a perfectly rehearsed script. Not luxurious, not extraordinary, just stable in a way most people pray for. Mornings in our 4-bedroom house always began the same. Ryan would wake before me, humming softly in the kitchen while he brewed fresh coffee. Not because he needed caffeine, but because he knew the smell eased me into the day. He used to say, "If you start your morning warm, the world can't make you cold." He paid attention to the smallest details of who I was. He remembered that I preferred my toast barely golden. He folded our blankets the exact way I liked, corners tucked inward. He knew which TV shows soothed my anxiety, and which ones would keep me up. He wasn't dramatic or loud or unpredictable. He was gentle, steady, like a soft light in a dark house. And for someone who grew up in chaos, with arguments slamming through walls and doors, his quiet love felt like salvation. He was my first taste of peace, and I married him because he made life feel safe. But safety eventually began to feel like sameness. Around our 10th year together, something inside me shifted. Not suddenly. It was slow, like water dripping into a bucket until it finally overflows. At first, I blamed it on stress. On routine. On the feeling that I had settled too young. I told myself I just needed variety, a new hobby, new people, a new version of myself. I convinced myself that predictability was suffocating me. But the truth was far less flattering. I had grown addicted to the fantasy of being seen as desirable again. Ryan's love was familiar. Soft. Constant. But I wanted the spark of the unknown, of someone seeing me not as a wife, not as a partner, but as something new to admire. I didn't want to be honest about that. Not with Ryan, and not with myself. So I turned the restlessness outward. I blamed him for things he couldn't control, the way he repeated certain stories, the way he wore the same cologne, the way he fell asleep early because his job drained him. I created faults where there were none. I created distance where there didn't need to be any. And the more I nitpicked, the more bored I felt. I started scrolling through social media in secret, watching glamorous couples who traveled, who lived spontaneously, who seemed to exist in perpetual excitement. I compared our real life to their curated fantasy, and convinced myself something was missing. I was missing something. I just didn't know what, until someone suddenly offered it. That was when Derek appeared. Not as a threat. Not as temptation. Just as a reminder that someone else could look at me as if I were new. That single reminder opened the door to everything I would lose. Looking back now, I can admit it, Derek wasn't special. Not in any unique or irreplaceable way. He wasn't deep or wise or remarkable. He was simply different from the life I no longer appreciated. He was 28, loud in confidence, sculpted from gym hours, and the kind of person who flirted without thinking twice. He didn't care about gentleness. He didn't care about stability. He cared about attention, and he gave it freely. At the time, that was all I needed to feel alive again. The first time he complimented me at the gym, it felt harmless, professional, even. "You've got great form," he said, smiling with a confidence Ryan never used. "Most people don't commit like you do." Commit? The irony of that word still burns. I smiled too widely. I held onto the compliment too tightly. Because Derek didn't know who I was beyond that moment. He didn't know the safe life I was secretly discarding. He didn't know the man who had loved me faithfully for 12 years. All he saw was a woman who looked put together but tired. A woman who seemed like she needed something, anything, to break her predictable routine. And I allowed him to fill that space. Text messages followed, starting with simple questions. "What time do you want to train today? Try adding more protein. Stay consistent, trust the process." Then the messages grew lighter. "Don't work too hard today. Your dedication is impressive. You know, most people don't look this good after long hours." He shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have liked it. But I did. And once I liked it, I started wanting more. I began staying longer at the gym. I started wearing clothes I thought would motivate me, truthfully, ones I hoped he'd notice. And he did. Every single time. Then the lies began. Yoga ran late. Traffic is crazy. I'm covering for a co-worker. Just grabbing drinks with a friend. Small lies. Easy lies. Lies I told myself were temporary. But lies are never temporary. They grow. They stain. They stick to everything around them. Each lie created a crack in the marriage Ryan trusted with his entire heart. I didn't see the cracks then. I only saw the rush, the thrill of being admired again. I felt temporary excitement and mistook it for passion. I mistook attention for desire. I mistook desire for meaning. By the time I realized how deep I had gone, the damage was already done. The foundation of my marriage, 12 years of patient love and gentle stability, was already breaking. Quietly. Slowly. Ruinously. And I was the one breaking it. The day Ryan discovered the truth didn't erupt like the scenes you see in movies. There was no dramatic confrontation, no storming out, no shattered glass. It happened the way real devastation often does, quietly. Quiet in a way that made the air feel heavy, stagnant, suffocating. That morning had been completely ordinary. I left the house telling Ryan I had a long shift and might grab dinner with co-workers afterward. He kissed me on the forehead and told me to stay safe, a gentle phrase he always used when he worried about me without wanting to seem controlling. I smiled, lied, and walked away from a man who had never given me a reason to doubt him. But instead of going to work, I drove to the gym, my stomach buzzing with the false thrill I had convinced myself was happiness. Derek and I joked, touched, whispered, moments that felt exciting but were hollow and meaningless the second he wasn't looking at me. Still, I clung to those scraps as if they could fill the emptiness I had created. Hours passed. I didn't check my phone. I didn't check anything. Desire can blind you to everything outside the bubble you build around your bad decisions. What I didn't know was that Ryan had gotten off work early, a rare surprise he planned because he said his wife deserved a treat. He bought jollof rice from the small restaurant where we had our first date. He told me once that the taste reminded him of the night he knew he wanted to marry me. He thought bringing it home would make me smile the way I used to. He texted me twice. I didn't respond. When he entered our home, He walked through rooms that still smelled like us, like routine, like comfort. He made his way toward the bedroom, maybe expecting me to be getting ready for work, maybe imagining the look on my face when I saw the lunch. Instead, he opened the door to find the truth. I didn't hear him at first. I only heard the sound of my own choices playing out in real time. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He didn't ask Derek who he was or why he was in our bed, our marital bed, the one we saved for months to buy. He just stood there. The silence wrapped around the room like smoke. I remember meeting his eyes and feeling the world tilt. There was no fire in them. No rage. Just emptiness. A kind of stillness that told me he had reached a place beyond disappointment. A place where words no longer mattered. He gently placed the food bag on the floor. The container fell sideways, spilling orange rice across the carpet, staining it instantly. He didn't bend down to pick it up. He didn't even look at me again. He turned around and walked out of the room. Out of the house. Out of us. The door clicked softly behind him, the quietest sound, but somehow the loudest moment of my life. That soft click was the sound of a man giving up after giving everything. He didn't come home that night. Or the night after. By the third day, the truth settled in like cold rain, he wasn't coming back. When I arrived home from work on the fourth day, the house felt lighter. Too light. I walked to the bedroom on numb legs. His clothes were gone. His shoes, his books, his cologne, gone. The drawer where he kept his watch was empty. And on my pillow, as if placed with deliberate finality, was his wedding ring. He didn't leave a note. He didn't leave a message. He left the symbol of everything I destroyed. That moment didn't break me instantly. It split me cleanly into before and after. Before, a life I didn't appreciate. After, a life shaped entirely by the consequences of that one devastating day. The silence he left behind became the loudest truth I had ever heard. Consequences don't always strike immediately. Sometimes they unravel your life slowly, piece by piece, until you wake up one day and don't recognize the person staring back at you. After Ryan left, I tried to pretend I could keep going. I tried to convince myself that maybe things would fix themselves, that he just needed time. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and the reality tightened around me with cruel persistence. Friends stopped calling one by one. Some didn't want to choose sides. Others didn't support infidelity. A few just couldn't look at me the same. Family wasn't kinder. They weren't cruel, they were disappointed. Deeply. The kind of disappointment you can feel even when no one says it. My job, once steady and fulfilling, became impossible. My performance dropped. My focus evaporated. I arrived late, left early, made mistakes, apologized too much. Eventually, it wasn't just my personal life collapsing, it was my professional life too. And they let me go. Bills piled up. Savings dwindled. I sold furniture. Then jewelry. Then sentimental things, gifts, photos, anything I could convert into money to keep myself afloat. Eventually, I had no choice but to leave the home I once shared with the man who treated it like a sanctuary. I moved into a small studio apartment with peeling paint and thin walls. I could hear arguments from the next unit every night. I could hear footsteps upstairs. I could hear life moving for everyone except me. And every night, I lay awake replaying that moment, Ryan's empty eyes, the dropped jollof rice, the ring on the pillow. Regret became a roommate. Loneliness became a lifestyle. Social media turned into torture. Pictures of families smiling. Couples traveling. People celebrating anniversaries. Everyone seemed to be building a life while mine had already crumbled. 2 years passed. 2 years of consequences stretching longer than any affair ever could. 2 years of living in the aftermath of a choice I made in minutes. Then one day, a friend told me what I had secretly feared. Ryan had moved on. He was living in another city. Thriving. Successful. Rebuilt. Happy. And he had remarried. Her name was Melissa. A woman who didn't have to convince herself that peace was boring. A woman who knew how to keep what she was given. A woman who now had the home, the security, the love that I once considered too predictable. She had the life I tossed away for a temporary distraction. The worst part wasn't that Ryan healed. The worst part was knowing he became the best version of himself after letting go of me. People say the worst pain is losing someone you love. But that's not true. The worst pain is losing someone who loved you completely because of a choice you made. You don't just lose them. You lose the version of yourself they believed in. And that is a loss that follows you everywhere. People talk about regret as if it fades. As if time softens the edges, erases memories, and turns every wound into a quiet scar. But regret doesn't disappear. It evolves. It reshapes itself. It settles into your bones until it becomes a part of you, steady, cold, and familiar. In the beginning, my regret was sharp and violent. It hit me in waves that made it hard to breathe. I replayed every lie, every secret message, every moment I chose a stranger over the man who loved me. Each memory felt like a cut that didn't stop bleeding. But the sharpness dulled. And what replaced it was worse. A constant ache. A quiet, unrelenting heaviness. The kind you carry through your day, pretending you don't notice, even though it's always there. For 2 years, I tried to rewrite my own story, tried to convince myself that what I did had justification. I told myself boredom was a legitimate need. That I was lonely. That my marriage had become routine. That anyone in my position might have slipped. But excuses fall apart when you look at them too closely. The truth stands firm. I wasn't unloved. I wasn't neglected. I wasn't trapped. I was simply ungrateful for the stability I was given. I mistook comfort for monotony. I mistook loyalty for laziness. I mistook peace for lack of passion. And in doing so, I dismantled my own life. Now, my days feel predictable in a way I never imagined. Not the peaceful predictability Ryan offered, no. This is the kind that comes from emptiness. I wake up to silence. Not the comforting silence of a shared home, but the lonely kind that echoes. I eat meals that taste like routine instead of love. I return to a cramped apartment that feels temporary, even though it's the longest place I've lived since losing him. Everything feels small. Shrunken. Even me. Sometimes I sit on the edge of my bed and stare at the ceiling, wondering how a single decision, the wrong decision, could unravel a life so completely. And every night, before sleep pulls me under, one image rises in my mind. Ryan's wedding ring on our pillow. It wasn't just a symbol of the end. It was a mirror held up to my mistakes. Some people are lucky. Their stories bend back toward healing. Marriages get rebuilt. Forgiveness is offered. Second chances appear like unexpected sunlight. But my story didn't bend. It broke. And what I'm left with is a truth too heavy to escape and too important to ignore. You don't know how rare loyalty is until you lose it. You don't know how precious stability is until you destroy it. You don't understand the value of someone choosing you, day after day, year after year, until the day they stop. That is my truth. My burden. My lesson. And the cost of learning it is a life I can never get back.